Okay, we are live on YouTube. So Diane.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Diane Gennardis, the chair of the Parks Committee for Community Board 10. I welcome you to this committee meeting. And tonight we welcome members of the Parks Department. We're going to be presented with a proposal for the Vinland Playground at Shore Road Park. I know Chris Yandoli is on the call from Parks and Michael Lay. And so without any further ado, I'm going to turn the meeting over to them for their presentation. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much. Chris, do you want any introductions?
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly, I'll introduce myself. I'm Chris Yandoli, Director of Capital Projects for New York City Parks in Brooklyn. And I just wanted, before we get started, quickly thank Councilmember Brannan for the funding for this once again. Seems like we're here every few weeks for another new project in the neighborhood and the community board. So just a big thank you to the council member for making parks in this district a priority and you know, improving the park spaces throughout the neighborhood. So with that, the designer for the project is Michael Lee, and he's going to run through the presentation.
Great. Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
Thanks. I've heard you guys have been having a lot going on. I know that you have the dog run is getting ready for bidding, and work is still proceeding on the field house. So to kind of help cap the area of the park, we're going to, of course, do Vinland, which you're all very familiar with. And as Chris had mentioned, Councilmember Brannan had funded $3.4 million for the park. The goals that were given to us by the borough was to expand park opportunities for all kids, enhance and add environmental amenities to the site, and create an even better destination point within Shore Road Park. I'll kind of go through these kind of quickly because you all know where the site is, of course. It's not in a floodplain, which is wonderful. And of course, we have a lot of opportunities of everything around the park, JJ Carty, of course, everything else that's going on around Shore Road. Well, the neat thing is that I found during doing the research, well, our team found while doing the research was this Moses Development Plan, which had the Vinland Park plan going back to 1939 plan, which kind of have it shown here in this purple. And that shape, which you see there, is pretty much the shape that still extends today. In the lower left-hand corner, if you really look below the cars and where all the trees have grown since then, you can see the far corner of Vinland with at that time had swings, which are very somewhat visible there. And you go to the center picture, you can see the field house, which we still have today. And if you go very far, you can see the slides and everything in the far right of that picture, the original wading pool. And then that half at the front was a skating rink, which now today is the baseball field. And then the right picture shows you going the other way, looking at the Vinland Park, the wading pool, and the skating rink. The plans, as I had mentioned, 1939, the original layout has kind of that shape that has stayed with the history of the park. At the far northern end was the skating and swings, then the wading pool and the skating rink. In 1982, the skating rink and wading pool were removed, but that baseball field was put in. And then the park started to take its actual shape with the original play structures, and the spray shower was put in 1982. And I have a kind of a blow up showing the playground design from 82, which has basically been the design since that time. In 1999, the play structure, which originally was wood in 1982, was replaced with what's sitting there now. So definitely this park definitely does need some updates since it's kind of been around for almost 40 years. Showing again, as I mentioned earlier, the future dog run, which is at the far right-hand side, the baseball fields, the field house, the baseball field, which was the skating rink, and then of course, Vinland Playground, and then the new Shore Road Vista, which has opened up in the last year, which I know everyone is very happy about. Existing conditions, as you're familiar, as the bucket swings that have been basically in the same location since the 1940s, the play structure and the spray shower, which you're all very well aware are in very poor condition. The play surface, everything, the spray shower has not worked for many years. There's no water in the situation. Trees, most of the trees are original from either the 1940s or the 1980s. 4 of the trees will be removed due to conditional removals. If you take a look at, especially the one that's up here by the swings, you can see how much that one has rotted and split. So we're concerned about those. So those trees will be removed. That will be adding in even more trees, as you'll see in our plan. And of course, views of the park, which I know you're all very familiar with it because I know you guys are looking forward to having it get much better. So of course, the playgrounds and the entrances, the wading pool, which is a very nice 1980s classic wading pool with a runnel, the play structures and the perimeter seating, and then the field looking from the baseball field towards the north, and then of course the other swing set. We held a community meeting on October the 8th, which we had, I would say, a fairly good turnout, a very lot of really good ideas and things. So we looked at those ideas, and I think that we have put those ideas to play and to use. Open area for the kids. A lot of the area, the parents and things like that the playground was open, which is an advantage because it sits down below the road and has a lot of green space. A mister, painted games, more invited entry, tables and things, and kids' benches. A lot of mention was for tables. But one of the major things was that came out of that community meeting was that we did not have play structures for all age groups. Currently, basically that play structures there is for 5 to 12. And so we have changed that in the new design. And we've also have added accessible play and ground play units. Any questions before I continue if I'm going too fast?
Could you explain a little bit about the accessible play equipment? I know when we had conversations about other parks, there was some concern over the fact that the play equipment was not handicap accessible for the children.
I will gladly show you that when I get to the play equipment. Thank you for asking.
Okay.
This was a schematic plan that was done. Basically, we did 3 different schematics, and this was the best one chosen by the design team. As you can see, you're adding new perimeter trees, moving up 5 to 12 play in the center on the southern end. The swings are remaining in the same locations. We'll have 3 to 5 play in the yellow in the lower left, and then a seating area in the upper right. So from the schematic plan, our team then took this idea and developed the plan. This is the bubble plan, I should say, not the schematic, the bubble plan, which then developed into the schematic plan, which you see here. And I'll kind of walk you through that, starting in the upper right-hand corner. We have the swings on the upper right-hand corner, which are 7-foot swings with bucket swings and 1 inclusive swing for ADA. We have the center play area, which I mentioned for 5 to 12. And I have some pictures of that showing you that play area with bench seating. We then have another swing set, 8-foot height swing, which is for a little bit older children, again with strap swings. And then in the middle, we have a central alley or central walkway. And in the very center of that is misters, a half circle of misters that are kind of off to the left-hand side here with double-facing benches located here, children's tables at the lower corner. Then we have 2 to 5 play in the lower left, which is very similar to the bubble diagram. Again, with bench seating. Uh-oh, do not go away on me, please. No. Are you still there? Are you still there?
I can share the presentation.
Okay. I just lost my connection. Oh no.
Hang on one sec.
Okay, I think I'm back. Am I back?
Don't see it yet.
Not yet.
You might have to reshare.
Okay, let me go back and do that. All right, I'm trying to reshare here. And all right, Chris, why don't you take it?
Okay.
Okay, we should be on slide 19, the schematic. I can't believe my connection just dropped. I'm so sorry.
It happens.
Okay, we're on the schematic.
Okay. All right. I was before we had got disconnected, I was talking about the 2 to 5 play, which again, I'll have some pictures of that showing that. And as we move into the upper left-hand corner, we have toddler play, which are some playhouses and some ground level play. Painted games were one thing that was mentioned. We have painted games with, it's a kind of a play on a leaf, on a hopscotch kind of painted games. Then we have additional, some seating areas on the upper right-hand corner. And then I'm going to move on to slide 20. Because slide 20 is the fence diagram, and because of the aspect that a lot of the community wanted to have this park kind of stay as an open feeling, so kind of what we did as designers, we didn't want to fence in each individual play area, the 3 to 5, the 5 to 12, and the preschool. So what we did is we put a low fence around the perimeter so that the area can remain open, so there'll be a lot of cross play and going into the misting fountain or the seating or the different play areas or the swings. So it kind of keeps that more of an open feel for the playground as opposed to having individual separations by fences for the area. Moving to the next slide, which is showing the 2 to 5 play and kind of going with the comment about accessibility. If you look on the right-hand side, the lower right-hand side, we have a lot of ground level play there, accessible play. We also have accessible play with the 2 playhouses, which are in the toddler area. We also have transfer platforms. If you look in the middle there, there's a transfer platform to allow folks in wheelchairs to transfer up into the walkway across the center, going over to the slide. And then the 5 to 12, which I should have another picture of that one. We also have ground level play and transfer platforms, and then a separate ground level play. And if we move to slide 22, this is kind of gives you another idea. And then one thing we added with the 5 to 12, as you can see, there's an accessible ramp. And that ramp goes up to 2 different levels of the play area. So again, kind of helps, provides other opportunities besides the ground level play for accessibility. And there's also accessible play underneath the 3rd tower, which has the steps and the slide going to it. And kind of gives you another view of the 2 to 5 play. Do you have any questions regarding the play as you had mentioned earlier, Diane?
Not about this play area. I'm just, when we get to the swing area, I'd be interested in knowing what kind of accessibility we have for our special needs children.
I don't have any slides of that, but I can gladly provide to you the swing types that we're planning to use. I can gladly send that to you.
Okay.
Because we're going to have bucket swings, accessible swings, and child swings. So I can send those to you.
Thank you.
Chris can give you my email, or I can give you my email at the end and gladly get that information to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Moving on to slide 23. As we mentioned, the hopscotch is leaf colors, kind of something to be a little bit more funny play than a traditional hopscotch. The misters, we're using misters as opposed to spray. Spray, one is because of the distance of water. We have to take it from all the way up on Shore Road and then bring it down the hill. And also due to, we don't have any sanitary sewer in this area of the park. So I have to drain the spray shower or misters into a dry well. So we can't have a lot of volume, but these misters have a very high pressure, and we have 3 different ones that will be shooting off water. So they'll be giving about 5 gallons per minute as opposed to a 25 gallon per minute regular spray shower. And then the colors there, try to keep really naturalistic play colors, as you can see with our play equipment colors and also our safety surface with the natural greens and tans. Slide 24 is showing the benches. As I mentioned, we have the 1939 World's Fair bench, which is going to become the standard bench for Shore Road Park, because Shore Road Park is considered a legacy park. The 64 World's Fair lighting will stay. We'll be bringing in a high-low accessible drinking fountain. And then these are some photographs of the child's tables and then the adult tables and chairs, which will be accessible as well. And then the trash receptacle. Moving to slide 25 is the trees. Again, multiple colors, seasonal colors, new shade trees and new plantings. And then out in the rain garden area, which I'll show at the last slide, will have the fountain grasses and the cone flowers and the hydrangeas. And then slide 26, again, will be understory trees, and then some more of the mountain laurel and viburnum and things, and the sensitive ferns will be for the rain garden, because we'll be catching most of the water for this park using rain gardens and not using storm. Slide 27 showing you we are giving some increased permeability. Of course, one advantage is we already have a good percentage of permeability because of the lawn to the south, and that lawn to the south area will be the new rain gardens bioswales. And if you look, you can see like a little lighter gray areas on going to the south or to the right, and that's where those rain gardens will be. And then we'll finish it up back to slide 28, which shows you again the schematic drawing, and looking forward to your questions and positive feedback on our design today. Thank you.
Well, very nice presentation. A lot of exciting things are going to be happening there. I open up the floor to any questions from any of our board members first. Dan?
Yeah. This looks great. I love seeing a lot more wheelchair accessible play equipment. And I guess this kind of maybe what a little bit of what Diane was maybe thinking about for swing sets, which is, I know that there has been among the rest of Bay Ridge, when they've been seeing this on social media, some confusion between ADA accessible swing sets and then roll-on wheelchair swing sets. So I know that in some of the other parks, we found that there wasn't enough room really to have a roll-on, something where an entire wheelchair could kind of be locked into place for a swing set. I'm not sure if there's enough space for it here either, but I know that that has been a very strong request. And with so much accessible play equipment in this proposal, it would be, if there is a way of fitting in, I know the bays might be wider, but if there is a way of fitting something like that in, I think that based on the schematics, it looks like the inclusive swings are the ones where you transfer over. If there is a way of getting a roll on, that would be great. I know that a lot of people have been asking about that in the neighborhood.
I can
totally.
I can start to address. I sorry to cut you off, Mike. I know we this came up at an Owl's Head and JJ Carty recently, and
yeah,
and we hear you loud and clear. And you know the commissioners had since the meeting that we had a few weeks ago, the commissioners had several conversations with members of the community and the council member directly. I think it's less about space and more about having a standard that works for New York City parks. Our director of design, Chris Surratt, is on, and I know, Chris, if you want to speak to that a little bit more.
Yeah, I think, Chris, thanks. That what sums it up very well. We're still developing standards. You know, it takes a while for us to figure out what can survive in a New York City park and what is the best element. And also, it again goes back, and I was at those other community board meetings. It's a real balance. Swings are highly popular in parks, and everybody wants lots of swings. And so again, it's especially in a limited space like this is a very small playground. There's a balance, you know, providing more swings for everybody. We're giving accessible swings. It's not the roll-on. We understand that, and we will, you know, work with our accessibility staff and our design staff and our specifications writers to see if, you know, if we have an opportunity to add a roll-on. But again, it's that balance. So,
has there been roll-ons in the city at all at this point? You're talking about standards. Is that something that just hasn't been deployed to parks?
You know, that's a good question. It definitely has not been done in Brooklyn. You know, in a city park. It might have been done in another borough, and it's certainly something
They do this elsewhere in the city?
I'm gonna find out. You know, our teams are broken down into borough teams. It hasn't been done on any of our projects, but I can certainly reach out and see if it's been done in Manhattan or the Bronx or any of the other boroughs. but we hear you loud and clear, and we'll look into
Great.
it.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? I can't see everybody's.
Diane, I have a quick question, if I can. I know I saw Justin put his hand up, but I just want if I could ask really quickly, because I know this issue came up at other meetings about the fencing. You mentioned that there would be different fencing around the playground, not individual equipment. Can you tell me the height of that fencing? Would that be new fencing? What type of fencing?
It will be all new fencing. It will be our standard 3-foot height fencing or metal picket fencing. Very similar to what's out there now, but not the exact design. That's an older design, but that style of fencing.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Justin
welcome.
Hyatt has his hand raised.
Sorry. All right. I got a couple of questions. Same one as before. Do you guys have a time frame on this, like a beginning date, and it typically takes about a year? I know that with COVID, everything's kind of backed up and all that. So
Yeah, so we're in the early stages of design, and so we have about 9. We have to continue the design process, which means putting together the contract drawings, the specifications, and working with other agencies on environmental issues and drainage. And once we're done with that in 9 months, it goes into our procurement phase, which is 9 to 12 months. Usually, again, things might be backed up because we had hundreds of projects sitting in that procurement stage for the last year. So, and we're going to be working to get through that backlog. And hopefully by the time that this gets into procurement, we'll be through that backlog, no guarantees. And then once it's through that 9 to 12 month procurement process, it's a year of construction. So.
okay, so like 2022 at minimum.
Yes.
All right. Second question. I saw that you guys had like circular tables with maybe 4 seats around them, but I may have missed the slide. Yeah. Do you guys have any like chess tables that you plan on putting in there, like those concrete chess tables that you see in any other park, or was that discussed at all? I don't really know how that many people that play chess. I'm just curious.
We're not using the chess tables. We're using a metal table, but we have tables that are accessible and in the seating areas.
All right. Was just curious. And then lastly, I saw all those trees. I'm not an expert on any of that, but you guys took into consideration that New York's kind of driving that like back to native
Yes.
horticulture.
We only have a native plant list that New York City Parks uses.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Don?
No, I've got nothing.
John, you might be muted.
Hello. Thank you for having a wonderful presentation. I just had a question, observation. I come from a landscape architect background. I was just wondering, the center space seems to be completely ignored. I don't know, the spray showers in the middle, but is that sort of a celebratory nucleus as far as the panels of play that radiate from it? Is there some kind of connection that integrates maybe a nautical motif or a language that identifies the New York City Harbor, Statue of Liberty, Pier 69 language that can sort of emulate the nucleus to sort of unify the spaces, not just the swings, but also the play equipment as well?
Interesting. Well, we tried to keep the exact same layout and form as before, and we looked at in the sense of symmetry. In fact, we had the 2 swings we established. The 5 to 12 is kind of the center aspect, and we kind of have the center area that even when there's spray showers are not functioning, which is a good bit of the year, it's kind of an open space or a gathering space. It's something that can be used for multiple uses because you're not going to always be able to have the misters working. So that's why kind of the misters are off to the side. so they don't, get in the way in the other months of the year, like right now where they wouldn't be on yet, and things of that sort. Our current commissioner is not big on themes, so we try not to play up themes.
It's not really a
just
theme.
add, if
It's
I
the
could just
content.
add that we're just doing sort of more creative play where kids can use their imagination instead of literal items that we maybe had put in the past in playgrounds, but just sort of, like some of the roof structures kind of look like trees. It's sort of just hints of real, things that the children can use their imagination more. That's the sort of the guiding principles now.
Yeah, I just wouldn't ignore New York City Harbor that surrounds envelops the whole space. That's all.
Is there anyone else? Josephine, can you see?
I cannot see anyone else with their hand raised. Nope.
Okay. Okay, well, we thank you for this wonderful presentation. As far as our next steps, there are no additional questions. I would like to ask for a motion to accept the presentation that the Parks Department presented this evening.
Here?
Okay, I'm sorry, who was that? Was that Henry?
Yes,
Okay, thank you, Henry. I'm sorry, I can only see a few people on the side.
that's okay.
Okay, seconded by,
I'll take a second.
thank you, Dan.
Okay, so now we're going to vote using our polling option. I'm going to launch the polling. So for board members only, can you just place your vote on the motion as presented? Okay, thank you. So I'm going to end polling. So the motion carries.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
that was very nice. Thank you very much, everyone. Parks Department, thank you again for a wonderful presentation. And we look forward to moving this to the general board meeting, and look forward to actually seeing everything in place.
I will still send you the swing information if you'd like.
Yes, I would.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and I'll send you the presentation. I also want to thank Rachel and Zoe, who also helped in getting this project out the door, because they were also a great part of this team. So I thank you very much, and I appreciate it.
Thank
Your
you.
positive feedback. You're
Thank you
welcome.
very much.
Okay. And with
Thank
that,
you for
I wanna
having
thank
us.
everyone for this evening's presentation. Again, Parks Department, thank you for presenting. Board members, thank you for being here. And general public, thank you very much for your participation as well. And with that, I will say good evening.